What is going on, everybody? How is everyone doing? Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna tell you how I'm doing before I ask Thiago for a second here, just to get up on my stool for a second. This was a rough game. This is really hard to watch. A game that I personally did not expect. So Thiago, I got my man. I got my man, the myth, the legend, Thiago at T Scabby on Twitter with me today. This is the post game show of the Sixers versus Trailblazers. It's not a good looking game. What are your thoughts on it, Thiago?
Yeah, man, this game about like the third quarter on, you're just like fast forward to the end. It's not going to happen. It wasn't going to happen with about 8-9 minutes left in the third quarter. So
Yo,
it was unfortunate because we were trending towards what I thought was going to be a pretty epic Joel Embiid game, and he had 30 points or so at halftime, and it was trending up to 60, maybe a 50-point game from him. So it's a shame, but what I take out of this game is what's going on with Joel Embiid's knee. I mean, that didn't look good. I mean, maybe you saw something different, Justin. That didn't look good to finish off the game.
yeah,
He looked ginger. It looked a little sore. It didn't look the same. He wasn't attacking the glass the way he usually does. If there's something going on there, why was he out on the court? And most importantly, like, what is the process to make sure that when this guy's healthy? I mean, it seemed like they might have rushed him a little bit tonight, and I don't understand why they would do that. So I'm a little concerned about what that looks like moving forward, because the Sixers schedule is going to get much, much harder coming up, and it would be nice to have a healthy Embiid here.
Yeah, and you heard it best from Rob during the watch party. If you don't know, Rob Langy at the Philly_Madness was on with us during our watch party. He said it. He's like, you could tell just by his rebounding. His rebounding went straight down as soon as that injury happened. You could tell he was limbering that leg. He was not jumping for rebounds, not jumping for blocks. And it kind of looked similar to when he was sick and going through a hard time 2 years ago during that Raptors series when they lost. He just wasn't going for boards that series because he was always tired, because he was always sick. So it's like, and obviously I don't think it was the sickness to it. I don't think it was the tiredness to it for this game, but he definitely was being cautious on that knee, it seemed like, which is not what you want to see from a guy who has been an MVP candidate to this point, and honestly still almost had 40 points, which I think is surprising to me that he was still able to like take the reins offensively a little bit at the end of the game as well. And I don't know about you, but it kind of surprised me that he was in this game this long.
Yeah, I was surprised as well. I mean, it's easy to fall in love with Embiid when he's on the court, because even at whatever it was, 65, 75%, he's still just absolutely dominant. Yeah. So, you start dreaming of, okay, there's a comeback here. There's a run to be made with Embiid. But looking at it from a broader picture, it's probably not a smart decision. Just take the loss and move on. You end up losing the game by 20-some points anyways. But, beyond that, I think that, the team around him didn't play well at all. I mean, just thinking about, what the rest of the team looked like, I can't really think of anybody whose performance really stood out tonight. From Danny Green to, Seth Curry got injured. Looked to be like maybe a little concussion. I don't know, but he looked a little dazed off that hit. Mm-hmm. But even like we talked about during the live stream, Portland had 9 guys, right? See, they're pulling guys off the bench who I never even heard of. Like you should be able to.
And the 9 guys, I want to say, and the 9 guys they had is not even the 9 guys it's like a 9-man rotation isn't crazy, but the fact that like literally basically their whole starting lineup isn't playing for them besides Gary Trent.
Right.
Like it's or maybe Rocco as well, but it's just like it's.
But you should be able to destroy that lineup. Like once they go to their bench, you should bring your bench in and just absolutely destroy them. And the thing has been the same with that second. It's been there for the last couple of weeks now. Is they have not been playing well, and Shake has not played well in the last couple of weeks. It's starting to show on the defensive end as well. So he's not the same player defensively. Maxey had a rough game, and they need that second unit to start picking it up, man. It has been good for the most part.
Yeah, I'd agree, and I think that the prowess of the starting lineup and the offensive unit has really been carrying them. And you gotta admit, Furkan's been playing pretty well in the past few games, just carrying that second unit and carrying them past some pretty tough games against the Pacers and against now the Trailblazers. It just wasn't a good look tonight. Missing a lot of 3-pointers. We should get into that a little bit. I think that's one of my biggest takeaways in this game. And one of the biggest reasons this game was so poor was the missed 3-point shots and also the offensive rebounds we were giving up for the Trailblazers. I mean, just Enes Kanter himself had how many rebounds did he have? He had 18 rebounds.
Yep.
Enes Kanter, 18 rebounds. That just does not go together. Crazy, but
I mean, one thing he does is rebound. He rebounds extremely well.
Yeah, but it's just rough on the offensive boards. I think they how many offensive boards they have? Do you know?
Pull up right now. It was a lot.
My Lord. They out-rebounded us 53-37.
Yeah.
They had 19 offensive rebounds to our 8. That's it right there. Like you're going to lose the game big time if you're giving up that. Normally, we average around like 45 to 50, like between like 45 and 55 in rebounds per game is what we go around. And the fact that we only had 37 is just not a good look.
We talked about that during the game, with Joel being a little sore and clearly not as active on the glass, and you missing Ben, who also contributes, between 8 to 10 rebounds a game.
Yeah.
You need your guards to be active on the glass. So you need, your Shakes, your Furcons, your Maxis to be a help on the defensive glass. And again, you look at the numbers, Shake plays 24 minutes, he has 1 rebound. Maxi plays 21 minutes. He has 2 rebounds. Thibault, 2 rebounds. These guys need to help, man. Playing defense is not just, staying in front of your man. You got to be able to provide support off the board. And it wasn't there tonight at all. I will say there's already a little Tobias hate on the chat.
Tobias was awful.
Tobias wasn't good, I'll be honest.
But. Yeah, I mean, he went, how many points did he have? He went, Tobias went 12 points, 5 assists, 11 rebounds, 5 for 14 from the field. He had a early in the season Ben Simmons night.
He did, and so he's not going to shoot great every night. He's shooting 51%. Yeah. His career is 47, so there's going to be a regression to the mean. What I stands out with me with Tobias is pretty simple. He averages 4.6 to 5 3-point attempts per game, and he only took two tonight. That to me tells me one thing. He needs a guy like Ben Simmons to get him open shots. And it's the same thing we saw in the playoffs last year when Ben was out. He was just not shooting 3-pointers. And the main reason why he cannot create for himself. So he needs guys to be able to create for him. And Ben is the ideal guy to do that. So when Ben is out, I think the guy who suffers the most is Tobias. And we saw that again tonight.
Yeah, and that's getting into a little bit more about Ben. We looked at the shot chart earlier, and we were not even shooting some corner 3-point shots, and that's a shot that we take a lot on this team. And I think a lot of that is because of Ben Simmons' gravity. He brings guys into the paint and he gets guys open like Danny Green and Tobias Harris open in those corner 3-point shots. And you could tell that it was pretty evident. I mean, the fact that we had an awful game from shooting from 3, I think and being that Ben Simmons is, if he's not the best, he's one of the best 3-point creators in the game. I think he leads the league in 3-point assists right now. So the fact that you don't have that guy in there, it showed tonight. It showed tonight.
You can even put if you have the shot chart easily up or not, but I mean, people that are on the chat, we could see. I mean, it was ugly. Like there's a part of the court that's just empty of shots, and that's the usual part where Ben gets guys look. So I mean, and that's not even we haven't even talked about the fact that he's a premier defender. Yeah, Portland hung 100 and God knows how many points of the Sixers tonight. So those things make a difference.
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on like a player of the game tonight?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it starts and ends with Joel Embiid. I don't think there's anybody else on that team that was warranted anything other than a C- or below. Joel, on a bad knee, still looked unstoppable at times. So that's promising. But it's a little bit concerning because the Sixers have Brooklyn coming up on Saturday, and I thought there would be a great opportunity to really stack those two teams side by side on Saturday night and see where they stand. And I think we may be looking at, again, another Brooklyn matchup where we may not be at full strength. So whether, Ben out or Joel out, or both of them out. And it's good to have these measuring sticks because you got the trading deadline coming up and you want to be able to see where you stand with these teams, man. So, if you need to make an adjustment here and there.
Yeah, so it's rough. So here's the shot chart. The circles that are not filled in represent the misses. The filled in circles represent the makes, and you can see already by looking at it the amount of difference in 3-point shots, and the difference in where we're getting our 3-point shots. Typically, this team gets a lot of corner threes. We have been shooting a lot more mid-range shots than we have in past years, but this shot chart just looks terrible in comparison to what it usually is.
I mean, there's that whole right bottom part of the graph. Justin, there's no shots coming out from there.
We're not sponsored by Honda.
So I'm going to pull up team shooting, right? So percent of corner threes. I'm just pulling it up right here. The Sixers have 25% of the three-pointers come from the corner, and that's the 5th most attempts in the NBA. They shoot 38% from the corner. I mean, that's nowhere near 25% of their shots coming from the corner in that graph. That's about maybe 10 to 12%, 10 at the most. So, I mean, there's a big part. There's a reason why teams shoot from the corner. It's the shortest distance from the basket. And the Sixers couldn't get any of that tonight. Yeah, and see that this comment, what it was shown tonight, but it also shows the lack of a Ben Simmons tonight. I feel like tonight was kind of one of those nights that, as Dives would say, you just kind of throw it away. Like, it's a game where you're shooting uncharacteristically. One of your star players is out, which really is a big key to the offense. Joel still went off, and also the Blazers were hitting tonight. I mean, the Blazers, what was their percentage? It had to have been ridiculous. They were shooting. Yeah, I mean, they were shooting 41% from three, 45% from the field. But the biggest key here was the Joel Embiid looking like he got injured his knee, and the rebounding went down severely. I mean, we had 81 shots put up this game. Guess how many shots the Blazers had, Thiago? Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, you're trying to get 98. 98. Yeah, that's all offensive rebounds. To our 81. That's offensive rebounds. That's key right there. I mean, we're going to stress it again. 53 rebounds to 37, 19 offensive rebounds to 8. Like, you're not going to win a game like that. So I think it's important to mention this because there's a lot of talk on the chat about Maxey and things of that nature. You're talking about being a team to contend for a title, right? That's what the Sixers see themselves as, and I think there's a valid reasons to think the Sixers can be a title contender this year. Mm-hmm. But when we talk about shooting, right? So, if the Sixers need to go away from Danny Green and Seth Curry, specifically talking about the bench, like, do you trust Shake Milton? Do you trust Tyrese Maxey? Do you trust Mike Scott? Do you trust those guys to be, consistent contributor from the outside? I mean, Shake has not shot over the ball this year. He did last year, but maybe just an average shooter over the course of his NBA career. Maxey's not a 3-point shooter right now. He may be in the future. Mike Scott hasn't done anything for 2 years now. So, something to keep an eye on is, the trade deadline, buyout market, names JJ Redick, Wayne Ellington. I would not trade a lot for these guys. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't trade anything for JJ Redick. But if there's a buyout opportunity with those guys, I think would be perfect compliments to the bench right now because those are guys you trust and come in and hit shots consistently, right? And the Sixers don't really have that on the bench right now. So, yeah. Yeah, and that's honestly it's tough because I feel like you do have a guy like Isaiah Joe on the bench, but he's too young. It's just you want to get a guy in there who has that nowness to him. And I think Wayne, I personally think Wayne Ellington is a perfect guy to bring onto this team if possible. I mean, he's making the vet minimum. You don't have to give as many assets up for him, and you save assets in the long run if you want to bring in another power forward.
That's where my eyes set on if you really want to bring in a guy like that. I think JJ also is an amazing pickup to bring onto this team, but you're giving up a lot more assets, in my opinion, to get a guy like that. And I think if you still want to have a little bit of play in what you can bring into this team, a little bit more fluidity, I think it'll be a little bit nicer to try to pick up a guy like Wayne before you try to pick up a guy like JJ.
I agree. I think that's a good play. He's been really good this year. One question, because I know Mark asked, where do you get the stats from? I usually get it from basketballreference.com. A lot of these specific like shooting stats.
Mm-hmm.
You can always go to the NBA.com. NBA.com has a pretty vast statistics database. You can break it down by play type, where the shots come from, by team, by player, by day range. There's a bunch of the lineups. So, yeah, if you're interested in that stuff, make sure to check that out.
Yeah, definitely. Listen, Thiago is one of our best stat guys within TPL. Make sure you guys go check out his articles. What are you writing about this week?
Yeah, I'm writing about Luka Doncic. I always get that last name.
Doncic. Come on, man.
Yes, I know. I'm not particularly happy with what I've seen from his game this year. I mean, he's clearly a great offensive player. There's no question about that. But he's not a good shooter. He's actually a pretty bad shooter. And he's not doing much to improve as a shooter. So I'm writing about that. So make sure to check that out.
Yeah, definitely check that out. So overall, Sixers lose 121-105 today. Do you have any what's your grade for this game,
Thiago? Man, D. It's I thought they would be more competitive. I thought that even they should have won this game. Regardless of Ben being out, they should have been more competitive and at least made it a game. It's disappointing that the bench and the other guys around Embiid couldn't get it done. And I give the Sixers an absolute F for the way they handled Joel Embiid. So shouldn't be playing, man. I don't know about you, but they should not be.
No,
playing.
Yeah, it was that was definitely that scared me. The injury scared me. It didn't look great, and you could tell he was laboring it the rest of the game.
Yeah.
It's just you don't like to see that, especially when he was the run he was going on throughout the whole beginning of the game. I mean, he ended with 37 points. He didn't play most of the second half, so
yeah,
it was definitely not good. I was definitely surprised to see him back in that game late in the game, but
I agree.
Listen, we're not the medical staff of the Sixers, and we're also not the coaches. So you just got to hope that they're doing their best to keep him healthy, and hope that even if he wanted to go back out on the court to try to win this game for him, hope that if he really is hurt, that they know how to hold him back a little bit there. But overall, I think my grade for this game is probably a D minus. I mean, realistically, the only reason they don't get an F in my book is because Joel went off and because Joel played so well, but we just couldn't get it done tonight. I mean, you're the guy who needs to be your second best player tonight in Tobias Harris, 10 points. That's just unacceptable right there. And I know it's hard with Ben Simmons being out, and that's how he gets most of his shots, but it's still tough. You got to find a way to win these games. Also, 3-point shooting was abysmal. Guy like Seth Curry's out, but still Shake Milton wasn't playing that well tonight, and Furkan was playing well at points, but still shot bad tonight. Just overall, not a good game. Bad defense, bad rebounding, just all bad.
But the good thing is we got Brooklyn coming up, so all that could be forgotten.
Listen, we can get excited about that. We got Brooklyn coming up. What is that, Saturday?
Yeah, Saturday night.
Yeah, we got Brooklyn coming up Saturday night. So, guys, please make sure you come check us out there on the Sixers watch party. I believe Dives will be back for there. Thiago, I don't know if you're going to be there, but I'm sure you'll let us know.
Yeah, probably post game. Yeah.
Yeah, post game. So make sure you come check us out there at the Painted Lines on YouTube. Please, if you have not already, please subscribe. Thiago, plugs.
That's it. We said it. Check back in here on Saturday. It's going to be a good game, hopefully, and hopefully the Sixers can get a big W against Brooklyn.
Yes, sir. And if you have not already, please go follow Thiago at tscabbia on Twitter. Go follow him on Twitter. He is a beast with the stats and with the content for NBA. Also, go check out his article on thepaintedlines.com. And if you don't know what thepaintedlines.com is, there is a ton of written content on there. Podcast, you name it. Please go check that out. I'll plug myself, I guess. Go follow me on Twitter if you are not already at J_Persichetti. I post mostly MLB, NBA, and NFL centered content. Also, I'll post what I want. If it's not that, it's other shit. So please, if you have not already, go follow me there. And please come check us out next time we're on this watch party. We're putting live videos up basically 1 to 3 times a day. It's insane. The amount of live streams that are going up on this channel and videos in general. So please hit the post notification if you tune out already so you can see when we're going live. Please like this video if you haven't already. Comment when we're done. Sixers took the L tonight, but listen, we got to hope for that W against Brooklyn on Saturday night. So we will see you guys back then. Everybody, have a great night. We'll see you. Peace.
See you guys.